Hi guys, it's Sky, and this is What's So Funny. So, this is the second episode of Food for Thought, and so I just kind of wanted to go over a couple of things that I just kind of had on my mind. One being the just how fortunate I am that I can do comedy and that I am blessed to do comedy. I really am. And the reason I'm saying this is because we all know there is a person in our community of comedy who is genuinely dealing with a lot right now, Andrew. And I don't personally know him, but he is a comedian, and as comedians, we can just support and love each other and do whatever we can to help. And it made me realize in a split second, things can change like that. I've known that for a long time, but at the same time, the idea that he was coming back from a show scares me. That at any moment, coming back from a show, things can change like that. But yeah, so, it does just remind me how everything can change that quickly, and it scares me. So, but at the same time, I've learned a lot, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I've learned a lot by watching people. Like recently I've mentioned that I went to Columbus. I learned a lot from Neff and his crew, just about your experiences and how they can make you a better comedian, make you a better person, how your experiences can bring out the better of your side of comedic style. So for me, being adopted into a white family, how does that bring the betterness of my comedic style out? And I just used part of it in my last show, which got a laugh, and it was beautiful. Honestly, it was the most beautiful thing. And it was scary at first because I'm about to do a joke that I never thought in 1,000 years I was going to do. And so to get that first laugh on this first joke that I never thought I was going to do was like, oh my gosh. And I almost went over and not let the laugh happen. And then it's like, okay, let the laugh happen. Just pause. Let it happen. Let it sink in. And it was like, okay, we can do more of these jokes. We can let it happen. We're going to let it simmer. We're going to let it sit. And we're going to enjoy every moment. And by the way, if this is like jumpy, I'm sorry I had to pause it because this is before work, so I had to pause and then continue on to where I'm at. So if this seems like, okay, you went from point A to like point G, I'm sorry, I had to pause and then keep going from where I thought I was at. So if that seems off, I do apologize. But hopefully it seems very fluent. I hope so. If not, I promise you, ADHD is a fun thing to fucking deal with. But so the other thing I want to mention is the fact the next show is coming up for me. I will have those posted here in the next few hours because again, I am at work. I'm about to start my shift, but I do want to mention that it's been a great journey. I'm planning to do the updated journey video, which is basically updated future video, which was July 20th, 2025, which was telling about my journey and where I see myself going versus where I am now. So the last one I did was July 20th, and now it's like September 3rd. So where have I gone? How far have I gone? How many shows have I done? What's changed? And obviously in the July, August, September, how much has changed, because obviously a lot has changed, and in this little tiny time, a lot has changed. How many people have I met? All these people who have been a part of my journey, the people who have jump-started my journey, quite literally have jump-started my journey. And just what have I learned, and this is what the whole what I use this for. Just food for thought. This is why food for thought is what it is. Food for thought is literally just, hey, what am I thinking of? What is it? And every time I go to Parma Pit, which is where I'm going tomorrow for another open mic, open mics for me are just another way to be on stage. But Parma Pit has a very special place in my heart because that is where this whole damn journey had started, was Parma Pit Stop. July 19th, 2025 is where this whole journey started. And to be honest, it is Monty Lipkin's fault. I say it's Monty Lipkin's fault, but it is Monty Lipkin who literally was like, hey, you have this little niche, this little stage presence, if you will. You should go on stage. I looked at Monty and I was like, huh? And lo and behold, now we are August. We are September 3rd, 2025, and I'm making a YouTube channel about it and about my journey, and I'm like, I never thought I'd be doing that, let alone like vlogging about it and stuff, and just like, this still doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real when I'm looking at shorts and I'm getting 800 views and I'm like, what? None of this feels real yet. None of this experience is real. When I went to PA for an audience of 5, which still doesn't feel real, that I went all the way to PA to do a show. Doing shows, whether it's 5 people, whether it's 20, whether it's 10, an audience of anybody, for me, does not feel real. Working with the people that I work with doesn't feel real. So, you know, whenever I go and get the chance to go perform at Parma Pit, it doesn't feel real. And it's all thanks to Monty for being like, you have this thing, you should go do it. And my thing is, what if I hadn't taken that chance? What if I had just been like, no. And I almost did. I almost was like, I'm not going to do this. And then finally I was like, what am I doing? I kicked myself in the ass literally and was like, no, I'm going to do this. And I was like, this is amazing. And I kept going from there. And now where am I at? It's September 3rd, 2025. And I want to keep going. I want to keep meeting people. I want to keep succeeding. I want to keep going on this journey. And it's because of Monty who was like, I see something in you. You might not see, but I see something in you. I can't thank him enough. I could make a whole 10-minute video of thanking Monty, which would probably go to his head. But like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, what if I hadn't said yes? What if I had just been like, you're crazy, go away? But I didn't. I took that chance. And ran with it and did it, and forever thankful. But it's like the what ifs of if I hadn't done the thing and not said yes. So the food for thought was definitely one of those things that helps my anxiety, because I do the actual podcast, which is 20 minutes long. I do the whole setting up my videos so people can see them. And then I wanted a place where it could be like, I don't waste my 20 minutes. I make a 10-minute video, which is half of the podcast. And I use it for food for thought of thinking a bunch of stuff. It's more or less letting my ADHD run and be like, okay, what can we talk about? Nonsensical crap. But it's also not bullshit with Sky, which is where we bullshit about different things. Food for thought is thinking logically about things, whether it's not food for thought on, you know, comedians and how they change us, or whether or not, what if I didn't go this route? You know, that's what food for thought is. That's why I made the food for thought segment. There could be many segments more being added, but you know, that's why we have the many segments that I have, which is food for thought, bullshit with Sky, and the main podcast. And this is why it's all called What's So Funny, because you never know what's coming next. And honestly, I love that about my podcast type deal, because it's podcast style, but it's on YouTube. Because if I set up a podcast style, you couldn't see the talking with my hands, you couldn't see the face, you couldn't see the dress code. I wanted it to be a podcast style, but on YouTube. So But thank you guys so much. I appreciate the food for thought. I'll talk to you guys all later. Goodbye.